35 years ago today, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar passed Wilt Chamberlain to become the NBA's all-time leading scorer, and 3.5 decades later, he still is. You are not having a real debate about the greatest of all time unless you include Kareem's name. No one in the NBA has more points, buckets, MVPs, or all-star selections. He also won 6 titles along the way. And not for nothing, but unrelated to that resume, I named my dog Roger Murdoch for Kareem's character in Airplane. So there's that as well. And as you can see, Kareem is here with us on Game Time Live. You were 36, almost 37 when you broke the record. As remarkable as anything about your career is what you did after that day. 5 more really productive seasons, 3 more titles. At that point in your career, did you have a sense for how much longer you wanted to play and how much longer you could be that effective?
I just, I think I just wanted to put it to the test and just see what I could do. And, I knew I wasn't going to get a job with that kind of salary if I quit. So, why quit?
That's a fair point. Well, it was Wilt's record, obviously, until you surpassed his total. And some of his statistical exploits are still sort of mind-blowing. They mess up all our research graphics. Yeah. You played against him. For those of us who never saw him live, what should people know about Wilt as a player?
Well, as formidable as Shaq was physically, just stalwart, 300 pounds of steel and agility and athleticism. Wilt was all of that. And I saw him play. I was in grade school and high school. I saw him average 55 points a game. I saw him play a number of times that year. The year he averaged 30 rebounds, I believe it was, a game. I was seeing him play. He got the 100 points against my team, the Knicks. That was in Hershey, Pennsylvania, but I read about it immediately the next day. Wilt was incredible. And, then there's the guys that we didn't see, the guys that played on, let's say, the first dominant team, Laker team, George Mikan and his teams. Those were some really fantastic guys that dominated in those eras. And we have no idea how good they were or how they would stack up against our guys today. So, it's hard. I think you have to judge these things in eras and, just let it go at that.
Captain Kareem Butler here. Speaking of errors, are you surprised that more guys aren't trying to pull off your signature shot with the Skyhook? And if so, what other guys in the association can do it on a consistent basis? Who are you thinking of?
Well, I think that the way the game is played now, you play it on the stretched court, with the three-point shot making a big difference in tactics. So I think that's really what was going on here. And having guys on the court that can stretch the court make it a more difficult game for the defense. But I think still, guys that can play with their back to the basket in close and get your team high percentage 2-point shots, that's a valuable guy. That's not somebody that you should just discard, because it's not maybe up with the most current fashion. That's someone that wins games, and especially, someone who can get you offensive rebounds. Very important parts of the game that people now are discounting, and I don't think they should do that.
So now in modern times, so many guys are chasing milestones. Was that your measuring stick, or was you just playing the game and just trying to be the best possible version of yourself?
I was trying to just have the most effective career I could have, and I wanted to be excellent for the longest time I could be excellent. That was what it meant to me. Having the opportunity to play the professional basketball for as long as I did was just incredible. The fact that it's a career that is so lucrative and people admire what you do and how you do it. It's incredible. So professional sports has been wonderful to me. I'm very thankful for the opportunity.
Kareem, we look back at that night when you broke that record and the strength and the size that you had back then. And people talk about the changes in nutrition and training in this sport. What did you do to stay so physically viable for so many years in the NBA?
Well, I think I was lucky that I had a work ethic that allowed me to not regret that I had to work. You have to train 11 months a year at least. If you can't do that, you're not going to be at your top physically, and you won't be able to compete at the top level. I was willing to do that. I think it takes someone with that type of focus and work ethic to have a long career. I think that they're making so much money now. Guys don't focus on it so much. You can be a very wealthy guy and walk away. So it's a different set of circumstances now.
When we see that game, the floor and the crowd, the people that were there in Las Vegas, why was the game in Las Vegas and not in Inglewood?
It was one of Utah's home games. They wanted to play it in Las Vegas. I think they were like scouting it as a site, to play some of their games, seeing how they're so close, being in Utah. It just worked out that way.
Yeah,
everyone thought I was going to break the record the game before, and all the camera was there, and it didn't happen.
Every time I see that clip, I'm thrown off by the fact that it was played in Las Vegas, and I can never remember why. Karan mentioned the Skyhook, which to me is the single most indefensible shot in basketball history. James Harden has now entered that sort of territory with his step-back three because people are so concerned about fouling him. What has impressed you most about that particular move?
About
the step back three.
Well, about the step back three. Well, James is able to really take advantage of the way the rules are now. You can't hand check anybody, so he can get to the basket and they can't touch him when he's shooting that long distance shot. That's what's enabled that. I'm not trying to take anything from his game, but he couldn't have done that in the era that I played because somebody would have been leaning on his waist and biting his ear when he shot those three-point shots. They won't go in.
No, that's absolutely true, and he has exploited the rules as they are enforced right now.
And, God bless him. That's what he's supposed to be doing.
Absolutely, yeah. The Milwaukee Bucks have the best record in the NBA. They secured it last night for the first time since you played there back in 1974. What do you make of this group? What's that?
On Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin, that's right. What do you make of this group as a playoff or title contender?
Great team. I think they understand how to stretch the floor and use their best player, Giannis. Giannis can attack the hoop from the other end of the court. So they got guys that come down and set up on the three-point line, and Giannis finds them, or he throws it through, looking down through the hoop. He's amazing. And to me, the most amazing thing about Giannis is how he learned the game. He walked into some basketball club in Athens, Greece, and decided, hey, well, what you got? And he comes to and brings those skills to America, and it's just ridiculous, with his vision of the game and his ability to execute it. My hat's off to him. He's a unique talent.
A phenomenal story for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your Lakers are going to miss the playoffs for the 6th straight year. That's the longest stretch in LA history. What is your assessment of the way this season has gone south? And does it make you sad at all? Does it bother you as a Laker great that this team has spent more than a half decade outside the postseason?
Well, they don't like being in that situation here in Los Angeles. We've spoiled them, over the years. So, what happened this year with LeBron getting hurt, and while he was out, other guys got hurt, and the season went sideways. There was nothing they could do about it. But, they have a real nice cadre of young players, and LeBron, they're a player or two away, and they're hoping they can get it. So free agency, we'll see what happens, and hopefully that, Laker fans can get back to hoping their team makes it all the way.
Captain, so you spoke on free agency. What is the first thing that the Los Angeles Lakers have to address going into free agency?
Well, I think they need somebody up front that can, anchor the team defensively. Someone's going to protect the basket, not give up any or very few offensive rebounds to the other team, block shots, and some intimidation and bulk around the basket that'll really settle everything down for them defensively, because they got guys that can play defense, but they lose out a lot of time because of their lack of length and size, right up there at the basket. That's what I've seen. But they've got great young players, and they got LeBron. He's like a Swiss Army knife. I think they're not that far away from really contending.
Kareem, before we let you go, this is entirely for me. What was the best part about playing the legendary character Roger Murdoch in Airplane, one of my all-time favorite movies?
Well, for me, I got to go to a studio every day and just sit down, and I'm sitting next to the guy that was in Mission Impossible, and you got to pinch yourself, and they're paying me to do this. It's wonderful, man. It's a wonderful life. I understand why all of us, every American thinks that they could be a movie star. I understand how that works.
Roger, and over, and we'll talk to you soon. Congratulations on holding the all-time scoring record for 35 years now. Great to talk to you as always, and we'll hopefully speak to you soon.
Thank you. All the best, guys. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks for your time, Captain.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
All right.
A.K.A. Roger Murdoch, A.K.A. Captain. Yeah, nobody like him.
Phenomenal when you think about the best player in the game right now, Kareem, is 34 years old. How long has he held this record?
35 years.
Exactly. It's just, we're not talking about one generation. We're talking about several generations of players have come since he last played and scored baskets, and it's still his record.
Almost half the league's history.
That's unbelievable. It's remarkable.
You're looking at the top 5 guys right there on the scoring charts, and they all had a lot of similarities. When you look at Kobe and Michael Jordan, obviously, and LeBron with his physical makeup, and Karl Malone. But Kareem just went about it a different way. Being a big that can, stretch you out with the Skyhook, and had just one of the most unguardable shots ever seen in the game. And I just don't understand why no one is trying to, use that shot, use that move, like that patent move.
I think it's because it's so difficult. I don't think people realize Kareem started developing that shot as a young boy. Like, it wasn't like he just found that at UCLA or in the NBA. That was something that he worked on as early, I think, with his middle school coach. So that's a skill you develop all your life.
Yeah.
There's a reason he's the guy who mastered it. I think nobody else could do it.
I think people also underestimate how difficult a shot it is in terms of the grace, the balance required to take that shot where you're not looking at the ball. The ball's behind your head as you take that. And a lot of guys, I've heard stories of guys who tried it in practice and just couldn't do it.
I couldn't. I tried it. I worked on it. Me and Wes Unseld Jr., we was working on it for years, and I just couldn't get it off. And I had pockets in the game where I could steal one, but I wasn't comfortable doing it like with reps, just doing it over and over again, and I didn't want to get pulled. So I just stuck to the fadeaway.
It's a little like closing your eyes and trying to bring your finger to your nose. It's different. You're not looking at where the ball is coming from. It's a really difficult shot to do.
Touch and balance.
And his longevity was just phenomenal. It's an amazing athlete who was way ahead of his time in terms of yoga and martial arts and a lot of other non-traditional basketball drills that kept him in shape and allowed him to be a force into his early 40s.
I think he really set the stage and the platform for a lot of people to how you get longevity in this space and how you preserve your body. Whenever we talked about maintenance and treatment coming up, they would always show like videos of Kareem and like, look, he's in movies and he's doing this and he's doing that. The all-time leader, he had this longevity because Bikram yoga and stretching and all these things. And I think now the poster child for that is LeBron James. You see him doing the Versa climber. You see him, doing all these things with his core, and guys are really starting to understand that you have to take care of your temple.